Namaskar, good evening. You're watching the NewsHour at 9 and I'm Swati Joshi. The recent offensive launched by Israel against Hamas terrorists has caused a great deal of division, and we see that the world seems divided. And in fact, there are many reactions coming in at this point of time, and Indian politicians also are looking divided on this issue. Well, we have some breaking inputs coming in on the broadcast, and this is in connection to the Cash for Query episode in which allegations were leveled by BJP MP Nishikant Dubey against Mahua Moitra. They were very serious allegations that she took cash and expensive gifts and favors to ask questions in the parliament. Now we're given to understand that there is a major twist in the Cash for Query controversy. Accused tycoon turns approver. Darshan Hiranandani corroborates the charges that have been leveled against Mahua Moitra. This is a big development. In fact, he's verifying the claims that have been made against Mahua Moitra. We'll try and connect with the reporters. TMC MP shared Lok Sabha login. That's what Darshan Hiranandani is saying. Now remember, that was one of the allegations, that Mahua Moitra in fact had shared her Lok Sabha login ID and password details with Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, and he in fact is admitting, he says, and I quote, certain information was shared with me based on which I continued to draft and post questions using her parliamentary login whenever needed. On the issue of in fact Mahua Moitra asking for expensive gifts, Darshan Hiranandani says that over a period my friendship with Mahua Moitra grew. I also felt that through her I would get support in other states ruled by opposition because she bonded extremely well with other leaders of the opposition like Sri Gandhi, Shashi Tharoor and Pinaki Mishra. We have our executive editor Madhadas Gopalakrishnan joining us on the broadcast. So Darshan Hiranandani, who was accused to be involved in this particular controversy, has turned an approver now and in fact is corroborating all the charges against Mahua Moitra.
Well, yes, and in fact, let me just read out some of the most significant points out of this affidavit, that what sources are indicating what is going to happen is that this is going to go to the office of the chairman of the ethics committee, which has already summoned Jay Dehadrai and Nishikant Dubey. Jay Dehadrai, of course, being the whistleblower who was close to Mahua Moitra once and has written a letter on this. Nishikant Dubey, the member of parliament, who has filed an official complaint with the speaker, which was then forwarded from the speaker's office to the office of the chairman of the ethics committee, to which it has been referred to. So before even they are going to appear before the ethics committee, now this particular letter coming in from Darshan Hiranandani, which could be absolutely explosive. Remember that tomorrow morning there is a defamation case hearing as far as the Delhi High Court is concerned, and ahead of that we are seeing this particular affidavit, which sources indicate might even be presented before the court of law. Now remember, Darshan Hiranandani is the businessman who has been accused of having close links with Mahua Moitra, and the accusation at that point of time is that it was at his behest that Mahua Moitra filed questions against the Adani group. Now let me just quickly read out what has been written in this particular affidavit. It says Ms. Mahua Moitra was very ambitious and wanted to quickly in fact make a name for herself at the national level. She was advised by her friends and advisors that the shortest possible route to fame is by personally attacking Shri Narendra Modi, the Honorable Prime Minister of India. The only problem was that Shri Modi enjoyed an impeccable reputation, was not giving any opportunity to anyone to attack him in policy, governance or personal conduct. As was her wont, she thought that the only way to attack Shri Modi is by attacking Shri Gautam Adani and his group, as both were contemporaries and they belong to the same state of Gujarat. She was helped by the fact that the rise of Shri Gautam Adani has created jealousy and detractors among some sections of businesses, politics and media, both within and outside the country. So she expected support from these sections in her endeavor to malign and embarrass the Prime Minister by targeting Shri Adani. She knew that Indian Oil Corporation preferred to get into a long-term offtake agreement with Dhamra LNG, a joint venture company of the Adani Group, and not with my companies. Based on this information, Ms. Moitra drafted a few questions that would have elements to embarrass the government by targeting the Adani Group, questions that she could raise in Parliament. She shared with me her email ID as a member of Parliament so that I could send her information and she could raise questions in the Parliament. I went along with her proposal. She was delighted at the response she received from the first set of questions that I had sent her relating to the Adani Group. She told me that she was particularly happy with the response and support she got from opposition members and certain sections of the media. She therefore requested me to keep supporting her in her attacks on the Adani Group and provided me her Parliament login and password so that I could post the questions directly on her behalf when required. Now, this is a very, very serious charge. This is a charge that has been made by Jay Dehadra. It has been something that has been requested by Nishikant Dubey to the Minister of IT in a letter to Ashwini Vaishnav that this should be probed by his department. But what is very significant is that now the businessman concerned, Mr. Darshan Hiranandani, I beg your pardon, has himself conceded in this particular affidavit, and we are quoting completely from this particular affidavit on the paper. The exact wordings are that she provided me her Parliament login and password so that I could post the questions directly on her behalf when required. This is a very, very damning claim. We are going by this particular affidavit, and in fact, as per this affidavit, it goes on further to allege that Ms. Moitra, in her endeavor, was getting help from other people, like certain journalists have been named who were in touch with her and were feeding her with all kinds of unverified information relating to Gautam Adani and his companies. There were others who were also assisting in this attack. They're speaking about Congress leaders in relation to the Adani companies, and other foreign media have also been mentioned. Unverified details from several sources, including some former Adani Group employees who claim to be so, and certain information was shared with me, based on which I continue to draft and post questions using her parliamentary login when needed. Over a period, my friendship with Ms. Moitra grew. I felt that through her, I would get support in other states ruled by opposition. Names of various opposition leaders are mentioned in this particular affidavit: Shashi Tharoor, Pinaki Mishra, etc., with whom she had close relations. And she also made frequent demands, kept asking for favors. Is a very, very serious charge being made in this particular affidavit. It goes on to say that I had to fulfill in order to remain in close proximity with her and get her support. The demands that were made and favors that were asked included gifting her expensive luxury items, providing support on renovation of her officially allotted bungalow in Delhi, travel expenses, holidays, etc., apart from providing secretarial and logistical help for her travels within India and to different parts of the world. I could ill afford to displease her. Many a time I felt that she was taking undue advantage of me and pressurizing me to do things I didn't want to, but I had no choice because of the aforementioned reasons. Now, we have got multiple confirmations, at least 3 confirmations from those who are close to and aware of what is happening. We don't want to divulge our sources, but this particular affidavit has been confirmed by those 3 sources who have indicated that this particular affidavit is an open-ended one. It will go to, of course, the office of the chairman of the ethics committee before whom this matter is supposed to be taken up. It will also go before the CBI director and also before the speaker's office. It's also likely to be mentioned in the High Court when the hearing takes place tomorrow, is what sources are indicating. While, in fact, as per reports, Mahua Moitra has said that this is some kind of attempt by the BJP to pressurize Darshan Hiranandani. At the same time, we have also, reporters have spoken to Jay Dehadra, who on record has only given one quote. He says, Satyameva Jayate. That's the quote coming in from Jay Dehadra, who's the original lawyer, who is believed to have been close to Mahua Moitra, and therefore, in fact, has gone ahead and on that basis of the information that he has received, written that letter, which has been extremely damaging, many would say, for the TMC MP. Of course, she has further taken legal action. She has filed a defamation case against Member of Parliament Nishikant Dubey, and all of that expected to be heard tomorrow in the Delhi High Court.
Madhav, stay on with us. We also have Siddharth joining us from the Newspit with more details of the affidavit. One, Mr. Hiranandani is confirming that she shared her login ID and password. 2, he's saying and admitting to quid pro quo that he wanted favors in opposition rule states and she kept on increasing her demands.
That's right, Swati. In fact, it's a very short affidavit, approximately 2 pages, which is now on its way to the Speaker's office. Also, of course, will be submitted to the Ethics Committee of Parliament. So this is the copy of the affidavit. Let me just take you through some of the operative portions here. And they actually begin on page 2. It's para number 9, where Mr. Darshan Hiranandani says, Ms. Mahua Moitra was very ambitious and wanted to quickly make a name for herself at the national level. She was advised by her friends and advisors that the shortest possible route to fame is by personally attacking Shri Narendra Modi, the Honorable Prime Minister of India. The only problem was that Shri Modi enjoyed an impeccable reputation and was not giving any opportunity to anyone to attack him in policy, governance or personal conduct. As was her warn, she thought that the only way to attack Shri Modi is by attacking Shri Gautam Adani and his group, as both were contemporaries and they belonged to the same state of Gujarat. She was helped by the fact that the rise of Shri Gautam Adani had created jealousy and detractors among some sections of businesses, politics and media, both within and outside the country. So she expected support from these sections in her endeavour to malign and embarrass the Prime Minister by targeting Sri Gautam Adani. She knew that Indian Oil Corporation, preferring to get into a long-term offtake agreement with Dhamra LNG, a joint venture company of the Adani Group, and not with my companies. Based on this information, Ms. Moitra drafted a few questions that would have elements to embarrass the government by targeting the Adani Group, questions that she could raise in Parliament. She shared with me her email ID as Member of Parliament so that I could send her information and she could raise questions in Parliament. I went along with her proposal. So this is, of course, where it all starts, the cycle of putting up questions in her capacity as Member of Parliament to extract answers from the Union ministers. Here's the other damning portion in para number 11. She says, Mr. Hiranandani says, she told me that she was particularly happy with the response and support she got from the opposition members and certain sections of the media. She therefore requested me to keep supporting her in her attacks on the Adani Group and provided me her Parliament login and password so that I could pose the questions directly on her behalf when required. She also claims, Mr. Hiranandani also claims, in fact, that she had been in touch with certain journalists belonging to foreign publications as well. She also says that there were demands as well as gifts that she had sought from Mr. Hiranandani. The demands that were made and favors that were asked included gifting her expensive luxury items, providing support on renovation of her officially allotted bungalow in Delhi, travel expenses, holidays, etc., apart from providing secretarial and logistical help for her travels within India and to different parts of the world. I could ill afford to displease her. Many a times I felt she was taking undue advantage of me and pressurizing me to do things I did not want to, but I had no choice because of the aforementioned reasons. Since this matter involves me directly and has snowballed into a political controversy with the Parliamentary Privilege Committee and the judiciary also now seized of the matter, I consider it incumbent upon me to state the facts in public interest through the sworn affidavit, and that's his signature, Darshan Hiranandani, dated 19th of October 2023. Swati, it's very important to also mention to our viewers here that certain facts that have been, or alleged facts that have been mentioned by Mr. Jai Anand Dehadra in his original complaint, those facts have not been corroborated yet by Mr. Hiranandani. Those specifically pertain to certain cash payments both in rupees and pounds. He'd also alleged a certain Hawala transaction that Mr. Hiranandani has now not repeated in this particular submission that he's now made toward the Speaker and also the Ethics Committee. So it remains to be seen that during the defamation proceedings whether or not these facts or alleged facts also come to light.
Right, this is a big development. Thank you very much, Madhav and Siddharth, for getting us the details. Now, remember what Nishikant Dubey had alleged, that this is serious breach of privilege, contempt of the House, and a criminal offence under Section 120A of the IPC. Let me open this up and go across to our guests. We're joined by Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author. We have Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swaraj. We have Sanjay Jha, author, and we also have Touseef Ahmed Khan, lawyer. Let me begin with you, Mr. Touseef Ahmed Khan. Now, Darshan Hiranandani himself has corroborated the charges. He is saying that Mahua Moitra did share details of her login ID and password, and he's also saying that some friends of Mahua Moitra advised her that the shortest route to fame is to attack Narendra Modi, and that could be done by attacking Adani.
You see, we can't ignore the fact that both Mr. Dubey and Mr. Dehadra has been sued by the MP. And right now we're discussing about an affidavit, an alleged affidavit. We don't have a copy of that. This affidavit supposed to be brought before the Ethics Committee, which is not before the Ethics Committee yet. And the matter is sub-judice. Matter is also before the court. So, and regardless of whatever allegations there are made in the affidavit, we have heard it on your channel only. I have serious reservations as to the, reliability, as to the credibility, because all of this, talks about Mr. The businessman, being a victim, as if Miss Mahua is the Prime Minister of India, and he was compelled, he was forced, and he had no other choice than to, blindly follow whatever Miss Mahua was saying. All this, regardless of these allegations, whatever is there.
Admitting to quid pro quo, he said he wanted favors in opposition rule states, and that's why he was agreeing to her demands.
No, he may say whatever he want to say, but with a judicial mind has to be applied into the application, and the answer, the reply to this affidavit from Ms. Mahua also has to be heard. By just listening to one party, no one can decide. No one can hold anyone guilty. These are mere allegations yet. And the matter is sub-judice.
Okay, these are only allegations, Dr. Ranganathan. One has to hear what Mahua Moitra has to say. This matter is also sub-judice. Let's not forget that the allegations were that she was taking money to ask questions to favor personal and business interests of Darshan Hiranandani. And that very man, Darshan Hiranandani, in the affidavit says, login ID and details were shared by Mahua Moitra. She wanted to attack Narendra Modi. She did that through Adani. And yes, he says, I wanted favors in opposition rule state, so I agreed to all the demands that she was putting forward.
Good evening, Swati. 2 points, very brief points. Number one, these are shocking, by any account, shocking allegations of corruption, sleaze, threats, extortion, blackmail, breach of confidentiality, compromising national security, and clear criminality. Had these allegations been made against a sitting BJP MP by a billionaire, and the allegations also included the people who were cohorts of this sitting BJP MP, i.e. a few journalists that have also been named in this affidavit, I just want to ask a very simple question to the people like my good friend Mr. Sanjay Jha and Mr. Touseef. What would the opposition have said? The opposition would have demanded not just the head of the sitting BJP MP, but the Prime Minister himself. In the least, they would have said the sitting BJP MP must resign till such time these allegations are proven either way. Now, Mr. Touseef is saying that these are mere allegations. Now, 2 points here. Number one, the first time these allegations surfaced were actually by a person who was well known by both admissions of that person, the lawyer, as well as Ms. Moitra. Was very well known to Ms. Moitra. These were personal things that were brought out in public. But this time it's gone a step ahead. This time the person who was actually supplying cash and other luxury goods and quid pro quo is the one who's made these allegations. It's not some BJP MP, Touseef, who's made these allegations. So you can say, brush them off. These are serious allegations made by the people who are in the know. So I want to ask you, I don't want to take the name of any BJP MP, just a plain question. Had a BJP MP been involved in this instead of Ms. Mahua Moitra and these allegations come up, what would you have said? Should the BJP MP have temporarily stepped down? Just answer yes or no.
Mr. Jha, come in.
The good Dr. Ranganathan is very shocked and dismayed at the astronomical corruption allegations against Mahua Moitra and some maybe Gucci bags. But according to him, Gautam Adani and the $1 billion meltdown in the stock markets are absolutely perfectly as clear as crystal water. Now, here is the truth. If you had a government that had a clean conscience, if Mr. Modi felt that he was beyond reproach, anybody by now would have said, get the JPC and get it done with. And I will go and tell the people of India that Rahul Gandhi, Paranjoy Thakurta and Sanjay Singh and
Mr. Jha, you're not answering the question.
Why
are these not serious allegations? Shouldn't there be then a similar demand that Mahua Moitra should step down? Shouldn't that demand be made?
Swati, this is my point. Look at the ridiculousness, the absurdity, and the preposterous nature of the conversation of the right wing. That Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of this country, is accused by Rahul Gandhi with evidence, with enough evidence which is in the public domain. By the way, the Supreme Court of India had to appoint a committee to investigate it. The SEBI is investigating it. But according to Mr. Ranganathan and the BJP, everything is okay, hunky-dory. Let's go after Mahua Moitra. Let's put Sanjay Singh in jail. Let's go and put Mr. Paranjoy Guha Thakurta under investigation. Make Rahul Gandhi disqualified as an MP. I mean, how shameless can you be? How crudely vulgar can you be in your public proprietary
allegations made against me? I must rebut.
The bottom line is this. You can't expect anything from a desperate right wing. There are two gentlemen already on the panel. One is Mr. Ranganathan, another will speak after me. I mean, I can't imagine the level of mendacity, the lack of morality, the utter shamelessness of
Okay,
trying
Dr.
to
Ranganathan.
people who question Adani.
Dr. Ranganathan, then Tushar Gupta.
Make them look like the accused.
Swati, I'm
you make those who are
amazed that
accusing Adani look like the accused. What a joke is this?
has Sanjay run out of all the lovely words that he has used against me and my good friend Tushar, or are there a few more left?
Words of wisdom.
Have you? Why don't you call us?
Adani.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you were addressed with all these epithets when you were suspended and kicked out of Congress, and now you're using them against us. No, please don't interrupt, Sanjay. I know this is unfair. Swati, we can't have a debate like this because I was quiet listening to Sanjay's diatribe.
Okay, now allow Dr. Ranganathan to rebut, then I have to go across to Tushar Gupta as well.
He's saying stop making personal allegations. He just called me shameless. He just called me lacking morality. And he's saying stop making personal allegations. संजय कहाँ से पढ़े हो भाई? नाम तो बता दो यूनिवर्सिटी का. WhatsApp है क्या?
जरा जाके मेरा बायो पढ़ लो ट्विटर पे.
Oh my gosh.
अंग्रेजी तो आता
Dr.
होगा.
Ranganathan, please, let's come back on the topic. Please
Swati,
continue.
can I come back to this, please? You know, he's just like not just a train. He's a derailed train. Now, he's
national channel hai.
Swati,
this will not stop. This will not stop if you do not stop mentioning Sanjay Jha. Just please go ahead and make your point.
स्वाति जी, आपने सही वक्त पर आपने यहाँ पर जो हस्तक्षेप किया है सही किया है. अब जरा
उनको बोलने तो दीजिए. आप उनको बोलने ही नहीं दे रहे. बार-बार मुझे हस्तक्षेप करना पड़ रहा है. समय जाया हो रहा है. Dr. Ranganathan.
And Swati, please remind me to give you a New Year's gift as a fader that you can use for people like Sanjay Jha in conversations. Now, the question was if these allegations were made against a sitting BJP MP, allegations made by billionaire friend and a personal know-how person who was partner of that sitting BJP MP, what would the opposition have demanded? It's a simple question. Why bring Adani, for heaven's sake? And the same Adani whose 85,000 crore worth of contracts you are still continuing in Congress ruled states. So who is shameless and hypocritical? But I want to ask Swati, you know, honestly, this guy, सब पता नहीं खाते क्या हो यार जो ऐसे आके बोलते हो. I mean, please, you need some fiber. Sanjay, Swati, I can't go on because he's just constantly interrupting me.
Sanjay ji, if you can answer that question, go ahead, or else I have to move on to other panelists. And Tushar Gupta hasn't even spoken. Yes or no?
Who are waiting.
Would you not have asked if a BJP MP or a Neta was involved to step down?
Yeah, Swati,
they asked for Smriti Irani's resignation because they said that her daughter has illegally.
Anand, जरा बोलने दो. Anand, ठंड रखो यार.
यार संजय क्या हो गया यार? I know you are suspended from Congress. कहाँ ज्वाइन करना चाहते हो भाई? क्या कर रहे हो? एजेंडा क्या है आपका? क्या कौन सी पार्टी ज्वाइन करनी है भैया? ए भैया कौन सी पार्टी ज्वाइन करनी है? कांग्रेस से सस्पेंड हो गए हो. थोड़ा सुन लो यार. थोड़ा सुन लो.
Question. The answer to the question is very simple.
You don't think just looking like a sasta Steve Jobs will give you the intelligence you require.
Dr. Ranganathan, he's answering your question. He's answering your question.
But he's just interrupting me constantly. He just doesn't allow me to speak. I don't know how. Has he even heard what I'm saying? He constantly... Swati...
No, the one question that you asked on the resignation demand, let's seek an answer. Mr. Jha, please respond to that pointed question.
स्वाति जी, यदि कांग्रेस के किसी नेता पर ये आरोप लगते हैं, ये बहुत ही गहरे आरोप हैं, तो मैं अपने मित्र आनंद रंगनाथन को बताना चाहूंगा, बड़े सार्वजनिक तरीके से हम उसकी छानबीन करते हैं. लेकिन आनंद रंगनाथन, यदि हमारे पर अदालती जैसा, यदि हमारे पर एक मिनट, यदि हमारे पर अदालती भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप लगता है, तो हम जेपीसी भी करते हैं. अरे आनंद, हम जेपीसी भी करते हैं. तुम कहे डर गए हो भैया?
Okay, I want to bring in Tushar Gupta as well. Before I move on, Tushar Gupta, these are serious allegations. These are serious allegations. Is the opposition jumping to conclusion by saying that Mahua Moitra is being targeted when now Mr. Hiranandani is corroborating the charges, saying yes, email ID details were shared with me and I was drafting the questions.
You know, there are 2-3 things that have happened simultaneously. It particularly appears that Mahua Moitra has been thrown under the bus by her own party. TMC has been happily doing business with Gautam Adani. Their chief minister has spoken very well about Gautam Adani just last year at a business summit, saying that she wanted to keep politics and business aside. Now, Mr. Jha here speaks of $1 billion stock market meltdown. Has he checked the share prices of Adani Enterprises in the last 6 months? It's 30% up. All these stories in the Financial Times, the the market is not even responding to them. However, there is something in the affidavit we need to focus on. It says that Mahua Moitra was meeting the journalists of BBC, New York Times and Financial Times along with the leaders of the Congress and sort of having stories planted against the Adani Group. And we just saw last week there was a story against the Adani Group in the Financial Times. Rahul Gandhi has been flashing that story in a lot of press conferences. So the question will be asked, what was the agenda of Mahua Moitra? Now the person who has turned into a government witness, he will also be asked questions about the money trail. Make no mistake, he's no saint. Just because he's turned into an approver, he's no saint. He has been supplying the goods all this time. But now the question, and the only question that remains is, did Mahua Moitra, as a parliamentarian from the Trinamool Congress, shared her login ID and password with an external party? Did she receive goods in lieu of asking questions or pretending to ask questions against Adani Group in the parliament? Was she asking questions deliberately from certain parliamentarians to get answers that benefited a certain media group? These are the questions that need answers. And let me tell you, before the whole criminal and the judicial angle comes in, there is going to be a political backlash of it. The Trinamool will want to distance itself, as they have for the past couple of days, from Mahua Moitra. We've seen the Chief Minister has not spoken in her defense. The alliance, whatever the alliance is called,
from Mahua Moitra. We also have Tom Vadakan now. Tom Vadakan, it's a massive development. Mr. Hiranandani corroborating the charges, saying yes, details of the email ID, Lok Sabha website were shared with me. I was drafting the questions, and he in fact is also admitting that she demanded expensive gifts, and he, looking for a favor in opposition rule states, provided them.
Swati, are we discussing the Gaza?
Mr. Vadakan, if you can hear me, go ahead.
Swati, are we discussing the Gaza?
Yes, after this. Mr. Vadakan.
I was invited for a debate on Israel, but I seem to have gone into the situation. The real fact of the matter is these, whatever they call them, allegations. Sanjay Bhai is calling them an allegation. But this is a serious turn of event. This clearly indicates that there was a conspiracy that was being worked out by not only this member of parliament, but certain international companies who were also involved. Now, let me tell Sanjay Jaji, he's an old friend, he needs to get into the history of this investigation. It was the DRI, which was under the Modi government, which was investigating the same. The matter has gone to Supreme Court and it is sub-judice. If Modiji's government's DRI has asked for an investigation, it clearly indicates that his hands are clean. He wanted an investigation. The matter went to Supreme Court. Now, and it's being pursued by DRI in the Supreme Court. They have not withdrawn, Sanjayji.
Okay.
Now, as to the other question here, this lady has been very categorical, denying issues about sharing the password. Now, that reality has also come through.
Now, of course, that is a claim being made by Mr. Hiranandani. It will have to be investigated. It will have to be investigated. Let's wait to see what happens in the court tomorrow and how the Speaker and the Ethics Committee respond to this. We're moving on for now. Gentlemen, stay on with us. We're shifting our focus to the Israel-Hamas war.